So, let us continue our discussion on socialism. I have been arguing so far that socialism's essential meaning is the ownership of means of production and distribution by the society, not necessarily by the government, by the society. This is the essential meaning. But in India, socialism, the concept of socialism has evolved independent of what happened in other countries, So, there was I was telling you, there was a group of people who called themselves socialist within the Congress, and the most important leaders of that socialist Congress within the Congress were Jawaharlal Nehru, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, Acharya Kripalini, Joy Prakash Narayan, etc. They were. And Mahatma Gandhi also contributed to his concept of socialism. Mahatma Gandhi wrote as early as before these Congress socialists emerged as a group, Mahatma Gandhi wrote his book on Hind Swaraj, or India of my dreams. In both these works, Gandhi supported many things. First of all, he wanted that nobody should be too rich and nobody should be very poor. He felt that the poverty in India must go, and for that matter he supported handicrafts, he supported village industry, he supported the concept of self-sufficient villages, and he also supported the concept of khadi and all these things. But later on, when Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose and others carried forward the concept of socialism, they moved away from Gandhism. In fact, they did not openly oppose Gandhi in all manners, but they had slightly different ideas. The most important thing on which all of them agreed was that Gandhi's principal idea that we must fight poverty, that people must have their basic needs fulfilled, like housing, like food, like clothing, like medicine, all these things, they supported it very strongly. Even today, across political parties, whether it is BJP or Congress or XYZ political party, all of them support this fundamental idea, or all of them support this fundamental concern that the poor in India, the marginalized in India and all that deserves a lot of support, and they are to be supported by the government. But beyond that, in 1917, there was a revolution in USSR, what is now Russia, in those days USSR, and there what happened that economic development took place through planning. Gauss plan it was called. They also prepared 5-year plans. They were the first people to start 5-year plan under Lenin and Stalin. And these Congress socialists like Jawaharlal Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose and others, they supported that concept, that economic development through planning, and the state need not depend only on capitalistic people, need not depend only on private people for the development of the economy, for economic prosperity of India. They believed in also planning. And subsequently after independence, we introduced 5-year plan. Now 5-year plan has been abandoned recently, and now there is a new concept. This concept first started under Morarji Desai, but now it is also going on. In between we returned back to 5-year plan, and now we have a concept called rolling plan. Planning is a part, whether 5-year plan or 1-year plan, all these are different issues. Planning is continuing even today. So, planned economic development is the feature of Indian socialism. So, now we have not accepted completely the Gandhian idea, we have not accepted completely the Russian idea, we have not accepted completely the Chinese idea of communism and all that. We have developed a kind of socialism which is unique to India. This is called now welfare socialism. This is now called welfare socialism. Many have termed the Indian concept of socialism as promotion of social justice, equality, elevation of poverty, ensuring minimum standard of living, etc. through planning. Planned economic development and state ownership and control wherever necessary is the hallmark of India's socialism. And you see, railway is controlled by the government of India. Post and Telegraph is controlled by the government of India. There are several banks which are controlled by government. Even the state governments have also their business organizations. So, naturally, this is the typical meaning of socialism in Indian context. When the word socialist was added to the Indian constitution, this is the principal meaning. The last thing which I have not pointed out on this PPT is today initially right to property in Indian constitution was a fundamental right. Now, this fundamental right was subsequently changed. It was withdrawn. It became a legal right, not a fundamental right. Let us try to understand what is the difference between a fundamental right and a legal right. Suppose you have a piece of land which the government takes over to construct a road. That means it is a fundamental right. So, government cannot take over. If at all government takes over in public interest, it has to pay a price equal to the market price. So, you have to be given adequate compensation for taking over that land. Now, if it is a socialistic government, then if it is not a fundamental right, it is a legal right, what will happen? Government will take over in public interest for creating a road, but it is not bound to pay you by market price. It can pay you less. It can pay you less. So, that is the difference between a legal right and a fundamental right. If it is a fundamental right, you can go to the high courts, you can go to the Supreme Court, and the court is bound to give you justice. Court will interfere and give you justice. There is a famous case called Kesavananda Bharati case, and in which this was recognized, this was challenged, and the Supreme Court of India said, okay, government can withdraw a right to property as a fundamental right and give you a legal right. But there are many other implications of the Supreme Court decision subsequently, but nevertheless, so when this case, Kesavananda Bharati case, was fought in the Supreme Court and all that, then Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister and she withdrew it from fundamental right to a legal right, converted it from fundamental right to a legal right. And that is how in 1976 the word socialist was added on to the preamble of India, because of this. Now, if you look into how far India is a socialist country, you can ask. You see, today the poor people are getting free grain. They were paying 1 rupee per kilo. Today, since the pandemic, both the state and the central government have come forward everywhere in India to provide free ration to the poor people of India. Now, support for the farmers are there. Kaliya Yojana has been introduced in Odisha. There is also a central scheme where farmers are given directly subsidy. Fertilizers are provided at a cheaper rate than the market price. So, what are these attempts? These attempts are by the state, by the government to take care of the poor people, to ensure some equality, to ensure justice, to ensure that the poor do not suffer in India. So, thus when we talk of socialism in India, it has a distinct meaning in case of special to India, not applicable, may not be applicable to other countries. India has also adopted hundreds of welfare schemes such as midday meal scheme for school children, housing for the poor or Indira Awas, subsidized electricity, cooking gas, minimum support price for food grains, free school education, and several other schemes are going all over India. This means that state can take away some private property for the good of all, say for building roads, which I have already explained to you. So, thus by socialism we have a new meaning in Indian context. Let me repeat, the most important feature is economic growth through planned economy. Planning, it was earlier 5-year planning, now it is rolling plan. Whatever be the mechanism of, it is a planned growth. So, that is very important. Socialism means concern for the poor. Socialism means welfare economy, welfare of the people through various schemes, whether it is free education, whether it is free rice or free wheat, whether it is housing support, maybe Indira Awas or something like that. It is Kaliya Yojana, and you know how many more Yojanas are going on in this country, both by the state government and the central government. Why? Because we are a socialist country. We are a socialist country. Now, this is a value. This is a value. How do I practice it? How do I practice it? I will give you one example. Recently, a parikrama was planned around Jagannath temple, 75 meters. Government could have passed a legislation, it did pass a legislation. It could have forcefully occupied the land between 75 meters of periphery of the Jagannath temple. But what happened? People voluntarily came. They gave their land to the state government. State government of course gave them compensation, but majority of the land was given voluntarily by the people. Why? Because there was a public interest. That means the people have themselves come forward to support a government for public welfare, for better management of the Puri Jagannath temple, for better management of the crowd. So, this is how the people have respected the value. That value is that we have to, the state has a right over our property for utilizing it for common purposes, for welfare of the others, for welfare. Now, suppose when Indira Awas is being given and all this is given, other people can revolt. They will say why they will get it for free of cost, or why they will get rice free of cost, why I do not get? Because I am a rich person, I can buy my own food, I should not get. He is a poor man. So, this concern for the poor, that is also practiced by the people. So, similarly, socialism is also a way of life. Gandhi has emphasized very much this aspect when he gave the concept of trusteeship, that the rich are the trustees of the property. But that is not the legal case today. This idea has not been put into our constitution, trusteeship, but Gandhi's concern of the socialists, all the freedom fighters have been respected. So, that is why Indira Gandhi inserted the second value, the value socialism. ना आमे ओडिया रे ताकू अल्प करे कहीदेवा कौन समाजवाद कहले कौन गोटे साम्यवाद अच्छी गोटे समाजवाद अच्छी आमे समाजवाद कहले जेतेबेले सरकार समस्त जिनस तैयारी करिवा एवं ताकू बंटा बंटी करिवा जो अर्थ धन सृष्टि करिवार जो व्यवस्था धन केम सृष्टि होची तुम जदि गोटे बस किने चलेल बस भड़ा लोक देले तुम पाखे लाभ है से धन सृष्टि है तुम जदि भूई चाष कल से धन सृष्टि है विभिन्न प्रकार आम धन सृष्टि करुचे यही धन सृष्टि कर प्रणाली एवं धन को बांटी हबार जो व्यवस्था ताकू जिते राज्य कंट्रोल करे समाज कंट्रोल करे ताकू आमे समाजवाद कहू एवं ये समाजवाद भारतर इतिहासर स्वाधीनता संग्राम सहित पूरापूरी जड़ित 1909 मसीहा बेलू महात्मा गांधी हिंद स्वराज लिखिले एवं तार अल्प किसी दिन पर इंडिया ऑफ माय ड्रीम्स पुस्तक लिखिले जो थी कि सी तांकर जो चिंताधारा स्वाधीन भारत पर जो चिंताधारा से कालर भारत पर जो चिंताधारा से परिप्रकाश करिसेंती एवं से मुख्यतः काटी पिंध कुटी खाओ एवं से बड़ बड़ कल कारखाना सपक्ष नथिले एवं ग्राम्य गाँ स्तर में से केमती स्वावलंबी हो पारे से कथा चिंता करुले इत्यादि इत्यादि कथा एवं कांग्रेस रे से तौक 1905 मसीहा बेलू स्वदेशी आंदोलन आरंभ हो जाता स्वदेशी आंदोलन आरंभ हो जाता स्वदेशी आंदोलन विशेष भाव में तिलक लाल बाल पाल अरविंद घोष एवं अन्य माने बहुत नेता अच्छा समस्त ना नहीं हेनी ये मुख्य थे लाल बाल पाल अरविंद घोष अन्य समस्त नाम मुझे नहीं पाने से जाऊना कहीं एम कौन कहले जे भारत वर्ष में निजे कल कारखाना आम प्रतिष्ठा करवा एवं आम इंग्लैंड रू किसी आमदानी करवानी से परिक्रमा 1907 मसीह टाटा आयरन एंड स्टील कंपनी प्रतिष्ठा होता बेंगल केमिकल्स होता एवं अनेक कल कारखाना प्रतिष्ठा होता स्वदेशी जहाज कारखाना मान सब प्रतिष्ठा होता लुगा कल सब प्रतिष्ठा होता एवं स्वदेशी आंदोलन 1905 मसीह आरंभ है तापर महात्मा गांधी हिंद स्वराज पुस्तक से ही समय ही यही जो स्वदेशी आंदोलन 1905 पर चलला से बेलू महात्मा गांधी 1909 बाहर हिंद स्वराज। परवर्ती काल में सुभाष चंद्र बोस, जवाहरलाल नेहरू, जयप्रकाश नारायण, आचार्य कृपालिनी एमाने सबू 1917 मसीह जो रुषिया एक समाजवाद सरकार आसिला सेठी विप्लव हो गला, राजतंत्र अवसापन अवलय घटिला एवं सेठी स्टालिन और लेनिन दुई जन बड़ नेता आसिले। से माने कौन कले ना रशिया रे कम्युनिटी फार्म सब प्रतिष्ठा कले, सब गाँव सब लोक एकाठी चाष कले एवं सरकार जो चलला से साम्यवाद समाजवाद सरकार चलला एवं पंचवार्षिक योजना माध्यम गस प्लान बोली कहला पंचवार्षिक योजना माध्यम से माने देशर उन्नति करने को आरंभ कले। तेणु परवर्ती काल में जो समाजवादी माने भारतवर्ष में अग्रभूमि ग्रहण करते से माने यही चिंता द्वारा उद्बोधित होते, विशेष करके सुभाष चंद्र बोस, जवाहरलाल नेहरू, जयप्रकाश नारायण, आचार्य कृपालिनी इत्यादि इत्यादि बहुत लोक अच्छा से समस्त नाम नहीं पार्नी, मु अल्प लोक ना नेली। तो कहवा कथा हूँ भारतवर्ष समाजवाद कहले जहाँ बुझा जाए ताहा सबुबले पृथ्वीर अन्य देश में जो समाजवाद कहले जहाँ बुझा होता ता बुझा जाऊ नथला। एवं यही जो भारतीय समाजवाद कथा उठिला से भारतीय समाजवाद भारतर चिंतक मान पाखु आसला, विशेष करके गांधी, लोकमान्य तिलक, अरविंद घोष, लाला लजपत राय एमाने स्वदेशी करते। तापर महात्मा गांधी कहले जे विशेष कर खदी ग्रामोद्योग सहर ये गाँव स्वावलंबिता इत्यादि इत्यादि कथा महात्मा गांधी कहले, रेस्पेक्ट फॉर लेबर कथा कहले, श्रम को सम्मान देवा कथा शिखेले, ये सब कथा महात्मा गांधी ठू आसला। एवं परवर्ती काल में नेहरू एवं तांकर सहयोगी मान ठारू गस प्लान कथा आसला जे पंचवार्षिक योजना माध्यम भारतर उन्नति हम एक चिंता करागला। तेणु मोटामोटी कह गले भारतवर्ष में आमर समाजवाद कहले टिके अर्थ अलग रहा, गोटे भारतीय समाजवाद कथा आसला। यही भारतीय समाजवाद को आम अनेक समय कहीपर वेलफेयर सोशलिज्म माने जनकल्याणकारी कथाटा आगुरी भी कही जनकल्याणकारी समाजवाद कथा आम कहलु। एवं जनकल्याणकारी समाजवाद किपर चलती ना भारतवर्ष में ता सबू सरकार वर्तमान सरकार पूर्वतन सरकार माने से समस्त सरकार लोक मान हित में काम कर बहुत गुड़े स्कीम चलाउछन्ति, यथा पिला मानकु मागणा खाइबाकु दवा, तांको स्कूल ड्रेस जोगई दवा, झील पिला मानक पई विभिन्न बेटी पढ़ाओ है बढ़ाओ और पढ़ाओ है यही तापरे पब्लिक राशन कंट्रोल दुकान रे चाउल गहम इत्यादि मिलवा है, केरोसिन मिलवा सस्तार मिलवा, बर्तमान तो ये कोविड पैंडेमिक समय मागणार मिलवा एवं जो धान किणवार मूल्य है सर्वनिम्न मूल्य निर्धारण करवा, एमती अनेक गुड़े व्यवस्था चली भारतवर्ष में जहाँकि समाजवाद कथा को आगे नौ। आ गोटे परिप्रेक्षी कौ परिप्रेक्षी 1976 मसीह भारतर प्रधानमंत्री इंदिरा गांधी थिले, से 42तम संविधान संशोधन माध्यम जो परिवर्तन आनिले एवं से समाजवाद शब्दटी को भर्ती कले, से तार ता पूर्व गोटे केस होता जहाँकि भारतवर्ष अति फेमस सेटा केशवानंद भारती केस। से केशवानंद भारती केस रे भारतीय संविधान रे है जिते राइट टू प्रॉपर्टी संपत्ति उपर जो अधिकार थिला जोटा कि फंडामेंटल राइट थिला, से फंडामेंटल राइट को हटई देकी ताकू लीगल राइट कर दिया गला। एवं ये लीगल राइट जोटा है सेटा अल्टीमेटली सुप्रीम कोर्ट पर्यंत जाइकरी से केस रे ताकू ठीक बोलिकी सुप्रीम कोर्ट कहला। से कौन है जे गोटे जदि जमी तुम अच्छी तुमर सेटा रास्ता करने सरकार नेले ताहले बाजार मूल्य रे तुमको देबे जेतोले फंडामेंटल राइट थिला, किंतु जेतोले लीगल राइट हो गला सरकार जदि तुम किसी संपत्ति नेबे ताहले तांको सुविधा अनुसार से जेतिकी पैसा दे पारे देबे। सरकार बाध्य नुहति तुमको धर तुम कोटी जमीर दाम बाजार रे कोटी टंका अच्छी सरकार तुमको टंकाटे दे पारती कारण सरकार पाखे पैसा रे ये जो कथा से कथारू से बेलू 1976 मसीह यही शब्दटी को समाजवाद शब्दटी को भारतीय संविधान मुखबंधरे दिगला एमेंडमेंट करके दिगला। आ गोटे उदाहरण देली जे किमिति जे जेमिति सॉवरेनिटी लोक मान प्रैक्टिस करवा दरकार, जेपरि केमती गोटे अभ्यास परिणत करवा दरकार, समाजवाद से एक कथा किपर समाजवाद बर्तमान पूरी जगन्नाथ मंदिर चारिपटे परिक्रमा 75 मीटर पर्यंत जहाँ जमीजुमा था सरकार नहीं गले किंतु तुम्हें जानिक आश्चर्य हो जे किसी माली मकदमा है लोक मैंने प्राय निजे निजे आसी यही जनहितकर कल्याणकारी कार्यपाई निज जमी सरकार को हस्तांतर कले सेहीपरी आंध्र प्रदेश अमरावती रे जो नूतन कैपिटल हवा कथा है से शह शह लोक निजर जमी चाष जमी सब नूतन राजधानी प्रतिष्ठा होगापाई से माने सरकार को देले एवं सरकार जहाँ मूल्यबोध देले तादेह आंदोलन होनी झगड़ा झांटी होनी तार अर्थ कौन है ये लोक मैंने जनकल्याणकारी कार्यपाई निजे साक्रिफाइस करने निजे निजर संपत्ति को देवाई आगे आसले तेणु से भाया ये जो समाजवाद कथाटा कहुच्छी यह एक केवल लीगल कॉन्सेप्ट नुह या आईनगत कथा केवल नुह यह व्यक्तिगत जीवन में प्रतिफलित हो पारे तेणु समाजवाद कथाटा यही भाव में भारतीय संविधान में एक मूल्यबोध भाव में छिड़ाई तेणु तुम से बुझीपर जे तुम मैंने समाजवादी चिंताधारा पोषण कर एवं प्लान्ड भाव में अर्थनैतिक विकास कथा चिंता कर सरकार जो यही जनहितकारी कल्याणकारी सबू व्यवस्था रही तुम्हें केवल रूपायन करिवारे सरकार को बहुल भाव में साहाय्य कर भाव में यह केवल सरकार दायित्व नुह यह आम दायित्व तेणु यह एक मूल्यबोधर कथा यह एक अभ्यासर कथा हो पारे एतिकी रखा समाजवाद विषय बर्तमान नाउ लेट अस हैविंग डिस्कस्ड socialism, now let us discuss secularism. Along with the term socialist, the term secular was also added to the preamble through the 42nd amendment of 1976. सही 42तम संविधान संशोधन रे सेक्युलरिज्म शब्दटा मध्य सेक्युलरिज्म को ओडिया कहले धर्मनिरपेक्षता. So what does the constitution says? India allows all its citizens to profess, preach and practice any religion of their choice. Article from 25 to 28 ensure freedom of religion to all its citizens. Now, this secularism is a debate in India continuously. Some political parties have claimed that they are secular and claim that other political parties are not secular. This is a classroom. So, let us discuss it freely so that we understand. But you will exercise your mind and take sides. I am not going to take sides. Congress party for a long period held that they are a secular party and BJP is not a secular party, it is a religious party. BJP party on its own said that no, not only Congress is secular, we are also secular. Who says that we are a religious party? They refused to accept the argument that they are a religious party. They said we are secular. And when various political parties come together, they distribute themselves again into different groups. Sometimes this political party is with NDA, that is led by BJP. Sometimes they are with Congress, they are called UPA. So some political parties in one point of time say BJP is secular and at other points of time say BJP is not secular. Similarly with Congress they move. There is a lot of political fluidity. There is a lot of political fluidity. Even Congress party had supported Vajpayee for some time. There was also a time when Congress party supported a BJP government. It was for a short period, some 12-13 months, but whatever it is. So this has no political significance. This is only a political stand that we are secular, others are not secular. So you will be able to make your own judgment. Let me not go into. But what we understand is that the term secular has been used profusely in India as a political term, as a political tool. That is why as students we must understand what secularism is all about. There are in fact two meanings of secularism. One is a meaning which is equally applicable anywhere in the world. What is that meaning? That meaning is best reflected in France. What is that? That state is free from religion. State has nothing to do with religion. Government has nothing to do with religion. Religion is your private affair of a citizen, of an individual. He may believe in God, he may not believe in God. He may be a Christian, he may be a Muslim, he can belong to any religion, and state has nothing to do with it. So, there by secularism in those countries they believe religion is a private affair of the individual and state should not interfere. State has nothing to do with religion. Okay. That is one meaning. Now, this has a long history in Europe, because there was conflict between the church and the state. There was a lot of conflict between church and state, and that is why Protestantism came, and Pope's power over other countries were not accepted. Protestantism was prevalent, started in Germany, it was very prevalent in England. So that is how it came, conflict between the church and the state. But in India we had no such history, where there is nothing called a church in India. There is nothing called a church in India. Even Shankaracharya is not same as Pope. Some people try to see a church in India, but there is no church in India. Hindus have no church, not even the Muslims. And even the Christians, even though have church, there are many types of Christians, including Syrian Christians in India, who are neither Protestants nor Catholics. So, what happens is that in Europe, because of the conflict between the church and the state, they came up with the concept of secularism, where the state recognized religion as a private affair of the government, of the individual, and government has nothing to do with religion. And in France this is practiced. In France this is practiced. In India we have a different version of secularism. By secularism we mean you have religious freedom. You are free to practice any religion. Islam, Buddhism, Jainism, Hinduism, Sikhism, anything, Zoroastrianism, sun worship, so many other religions of the world are there. And the state will not interfere in your religious affair. Every individual, every citizen is free to. Not only that, state respects all religions equally. State deals with all religions equally. State does not promote one religion or demote another religion. So, that is the meaning. That is the meaning in India. Say, go to Pakistan. Pakistan says that we are an Islamic state. That means Islam is our religion of the state, and Islam will be treated primarily with benefits, and it will be the prime religion of the land of Pakistan. Now, there are many states, many countries in the world. I gave you the example of Pakistan, but Iran also calls itself an Islamic state. Malaysia also calls itself an Islamic state. There are many countries in the world which declare their association with a single religion. Even though England is a secular country, even today in England, I am not going into great details of history, nobody other than somebody belonging to Church of England can be the King of England or the monarch of England, king or queen, whatever it is. Otherwise it is secular, there is no other distinction. So, what happens is that India has a different concept of secularism because of various historical reasons, What is that? India says that every religion in India, secularism was never born out of the conflict between the temple and the state. Pluralism is the keystone of Indian culture, religious tolerance is the backbone of Indian secularism. So, what India says by secularism, that the government, the state allows everybody to practice any religion of his choice. State does not distinguish, because no reservation is made for on the basis of religion, and minorities have their rights, minorities. Now, it is debated whether Hindus can be declared to be minorities in some states where their number is less, like some states of northeast. Now, this is the matter is before the Supreme Court of India. The Government of India has made it clear that it is open to the idea of making Hindus also a minority in some states, say like in Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, where everybody is, most of the people are Christians and Hindus are a minority. But whatever it is, whatever final decision of the Supreme Court will come, we will all come to know. But today, by secularism, India allows all its citizens to profess, preach, practice any religion of their choice. Articles from 25 to 28 ensure freedom of religion to all its citizens. In India, secularism was never born out of conflict between temple and the state. Pluralism, that means people of various religions are there in India, and everything is guaranteed that you can practice. Pluralism means now there are Sikhs, there are Hindus, there are Muslims, there are Christians. This is pluralism, and this pluralism is respected. That is the keystone of Indian culture. That is the keystone of our secularism and religious tolerance. We tolerate each other. We tolerate each other. So, we do not prosecute the minority. It is not just the majoritarianism. That is what is meant by secularism. And now, why the word secularism was needed to be included in Indian constitution at all? There are various historical reasons. The first historical reason is that in 1947, when India was partitioned into Pakistan and India, Pakistan was created on the religious ground. The slogan was a Islamic slogan. So, some people felt that people practicing Islamic religion should have a state of their own. Now, I am not saying whether this is right or wrong, but it is something which is historical and it has happened. So, let us not get into the debate whether creation of Pakistan was justified or unjustified. Let us not get into that. It has happened. So, what is the point in that? Now, the question is, that is why there was fear amongst the Indians that we must enshrine the word secularism in our constitution. Why? Please remember that in 1976 already the Khalistan movement had started. Some Sikh people felt that just like as Islam, on the name of Islam India was partitioned, there is need to partition India again in the name of Sikhism. So, the then Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi, felt that this India should never be further divided on the basis of religion again. 47 was a big tragedy. Right and wrong is not, I am not debating here, but it was a tragedy in the sense lakhs of Hindus and Muslims were killed. They had lived for so long as brothers and sisters, now they killed each other in 1946 to 47. Communal riots became common. Even today communal riots are still happening. Now, even in Kashmir you have seen the Kashmir files, or how the Pandits were thrown out of Kashmir. Now, it is just not the Pandits who suffered. Muslims have also suffered in Kashmir in large number. How? So many bombardments, so many acts of terrorism, and people have died. Muslims have died, Hindus have died. And if you look at the entire world, more Muslims have died out of communal disharmony than anybody else. Let us not get into that debate, but let us ensure that India is not further divided on the basis of religion. That was the chief concern of then the Parliament of India. That is why they thought that secularism has to be adopted. But secularism is just not a principle. Secularism, like other values, as I have already explained to you, is also something to be practiced. It is something to be practiced. Now, it is something which is a value which we must adopt like from childhood. Now, in our family, when we are small, or when you were small, now you are in the college 20 years. Now, if your father and mother tell you constantly, or your teachers in the school tell you that you are a Hindu, that is why you are superior to others. That your religion is only correct. Some Muslim parents tell that your religion is only correct, Hinduism is wrong, Christianity is wrong. Are you secular? No, you are not secular. If you do not believe that everybody has the freedom to lead his own religious life, and all religions are true, and he is free to practice his own religion. Unless you develop that attitude in your day to day life, then you will not be secular. Suppose I am in a selection committee selecting lecturers. I will say that I am a Hindu or I am a Muslim. I will only select Muslim fellows, or I will select only Hindu fellows. Am I secular? You are not secular. That means in your day to day life, you have to treat all religions equally. You have to learn to respect all religions equally. You know, even when we fight wars, when your opponent soldier dies and there is no chance of anybody burying him, what we do? We hand over the dead body to our enemies. And if there is no possibility and we know that he is a Muslim, he is to be buried, then he is normally buried. Now, if we think that he is to be burnt, a Pakistani soldier finds that here is a Hindu who is dead in the war and they are not in a position to take his dead body and give you back, what they will do? They will organize something and they will burn that body. So, that is how secularism is to be practiced. We must respect religion. We must not disrespect any religion. Suppose I do not believe in God, does not matter. I have no religion. Sometimes you may not have a religion. Very recently, a lady has gone to the Kerala High Court saying that I must be given a certificate that I have no religion, I have no caste. Because when you apply for various government jobs, it is asked, what is your religion, what is your caste? She says, I want to write, I have no caste, I have no religion. Perfectly all right, perfectly all right. So, even if you do not believe, I do not have any religion, suppose. That does not mean I will poke fun at Hinduism, Islam or those who believe in religion. Am I secular? No, I am not secular. So, धर्म निरपेक्षता कहले कौन बुझा जाए? साधारण भाव में यूरोप इतिहास को जो तुम पठन कर तुम जान जे सेठी धर्म शासक धर्म माने विशेषकर पोप धर्म मुख्य एवं शासक मान भितर बहु समय मतभेद होता ताकू नहीं बहुत राजनीति होता। तेणु पश्चिम देश गुड़ाक गोटे प्रकार चिंताधारा कालक्रम आसला जो थी कि सिक्युलारिज्म कहगला। से कौन कहगला जे सरकार कौन धर्म रहा, सरकार धर्म रे हस्तक्षेप करेंगे नहीं एवं धर्मटा है जड़े लोकर व्यक्तिगत मामला, व्यक्तिगत मामला जहाँकि बर्तमान फ्रांस रे खूब भल भाव में प्रचलित अच्छे। भारत वर्ष रे एमिति धर्म आउ राज्य भितर झगड़ा केबे है ना। तेणु जोटा पाश्चात्य देश जो कथा है भारत वर्ष से कथा है। भारत वर्ष रे कालक्रमे सबुबले अति माने आदिम कालरू विभिन्न धर्मर लोक मैंने बसवासी कर आसुचंती। तुम जानिक आश्चर्य हो जे जदि जो मैंने जान न भारत वर्ष को ख्रिस्टियानिटी प्रथम शताब्दी आसला। जीशुख्रीष्ट बंचार मरबार अल्प दिन भर 10-15 वर्ष भितर भारत को ख्रीष्ट धर्म आसी जाता। से भाई इस्लाम जो मैंने मोपाला मुसलमान मैंने अच्छा केरल में से माने प्रॉफेट मोहम्मद अल्प समय भितर मृत्युर अल्प वर्ष भितर से ही शताब्दी रे आसी जाइथिला मुसलमान धर्म भारत वर्ष को। तेणु भारत वर्ष काले काले विभिन्न धर्माधर्म लोक मानकर बसवासर केन्द्र थिला। यह एक निर्दिष्ट देशर लोक माने केवल रहू नथिले। तेणु यही जो प्लुरालिज्म अच्छी विभिन्न धर्म एक सांगे रहिबार अच्छी आमे धर्मनिरपेक्षता कहले टिके अलगा कथा बुझिलु। कौन बुझिलु जे सरकार सबु धर्म को समान भाव में ग्रहण करेंगे, सबु धर्म को समान भाव में सम्मान देवे एवं ताकू प्रैक्टिस करने ताकू प्रचार करने प्रसार घटाइवाई एवं अवलंबन करने आमको स्वाधीनता देवे। ये हूँ धर्मनिरपेक्षतार भारतीय कॉन्टेक्स्ट रे तार अर्थ। एवं 1947 मसीह जो भारत है से दुर्भाग्यक्रम भारत पाकिस्तान और भारत दुई देश विभक्त है एवं पाकिस्तान सृष्टि है एक धर्म बेसिस रे। ताकू इस्लामिक राष्ट्र कहुच्छे आज पर्यंत केवल पाकिस्तान इस्लामिक राष्ट्र नुह से अनेक इस्लामिक राष्ट्र अच्छा विशेष भाव में ईरान मालेशिया इत्यादि इत्यादि अच्छा एवं यही जो गोटे धर्मभित्तिक राष्ट्र आम से भाया धर्मभित्तिक राष्ट्र नुह आम देश में जेकोसी धर्म सबू धर्म स्वाधीनता रही लोक मैंने ग्रहण कर तेणु आम संविधान मूल मंत्र है धर्म कहले धर्मनिरपेक्षता कहले कौन ना सरकार सबू धर्म को समान आखिरे देखिए एवं समस्त धर्म को समान भाव में सम्मान देवे यह केवल राजनीतिक कथार नुह जो 1976 मसीह यही शब्दटी को भारतीय संविधान में जोड़ी दिगला 42तम एमेंडमेंट रे कहीं जोड़ागला ना ता पूर्वर अल्प दिन आगु खालिस्तान मुवमेंट बोली गोटे मुवमेंट आरंभ होगा भारत वर्ष जो थे किसी सिख धर्मी समस्ते नुहति अल्प किसी मुष्टिमय सिख धर्मी लोक मैंने चाहिए जमीती भारत इस्लाम ना रे पाकिस्तान अलग हो जाता से भली सिख धर्म ना रे भारत आउ थे खंड हो जाऊ तुम्हें जानिच जे दृढ़ हस्त इंदिरा गांधी ताकू बंद कर पारे एवं परवर्ती काल में मोरारजी देसाई अन्य प्रधानमंत्री मैंने से काम कर सेति बेलू 1976 मसीह भारतर पार्लियामेंट निष्पत्ति नेला जे ये शब्दटा को नब कहीं नब ग्रहण कर ना भारत को आउ थे धर्म ना खंड विखंडित न करा जाऊ तेणु धर्मनिरपेक्षता कथा कहगला यही धर्मनिरपेक्षता कहले जे खाली गोटे प्रिंसिपल संविधान से कथा नुह यह आम दैनंदिन जीवन में आम अभ्यास परिणत करवा दरकार कम किपर अभ्यास परिणत करूँ धर मु जड़े हिंदू मु गोटे लेक्चरर सिलेक्शन रे बस बोर्ड रे मेंबर है मु कहि मु जेहेतु हिंदू मु केवल हिंदू कैंडिडेट को बाछी से जेते मुसलमान पिला जेते भल उत्तर देले भी मु ताकू चाकरीटा देविनी धर्मनिरपेक्ष हेली मु ना हेली नहीं तेणु सबू धर्म को समान भाव में सम्मान करवा ताकू ठीक भाव में विचार करवा धर्म धर्म नाम रे परस्पर भितर कंदल बढ़ेवा न बढ़ेवा सौहार्दपूर्ण वातावरण भाव में रहिबा सबू धर्म को सम्मान नहीं करी सी हूँ धर्मनिरपेक्षतार लक्षण ये गोटे पॉजिटिव कथा सबू धर्म को समान भाव में देखा ताकू सम्मान दवा इत्यादि इत्यादि कथा बहुत गुरुत्वपूर्ण भारतवर्षर संविधान रे आर्टिकल 25 रु 28 भितर धर्म स्वाधीनता कथा को विस्तृत भाव में आलोचना करा जायछि तेणु धर्मनिरपेक्षता कहले भारतीय कॉन्टेक्स्ट रे जहाँ बुझा जाए ताकू आमको बुझा हम आज एतिके कथा रखा धर्मनिरपेक्षतार आसंता काली आउ गोटे भैल्यू नवा से हूँ गणतंत्र कहले आम कौन बुझे से कथा आसंता काली आलोचना करवा धन्यवाद।